By the end of this video, you're going to be a master objection handler. We're going to discuss 6 of the most trickiest, difficult objections that you're probably getting day to day or your sales team are getting day to day. But it's the main reason, most likely, that you or your sales team aren't closing more deals. So if you watch to the end of this video, you're going to be able to close more deals, but also you're going to actually get closer to the real objection, which is the real reason why people aren't taking action with you, buying your courses, buying your agency services, whatever it is you're selling. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about the 2 different types of objections. So the first one is what we call a smokescreen objection. These aren't real objections. These are literally, as the name suggests, it's just a smokescreen to hide the real reason as to why they're not taking action and moving forward with you today. Then you've got a real objection, which is the fundamental reason. These objections come from fear, they come from risk, or they come from a lack of trust. So if we can get to those, they're much easier to overcome. Now, I want you to think of objection handling like a long corridor. At the start of the corridor is where your prospect is now in their journey. The golden end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel is your solution, your product, your service, whatever it may be. And that's where you need to get them to help them change their life, to make a positive change. Because remember, sales isn't just selling your product, sales is selling change to some capacity. So unless you get them to the end of the corridor, you're not going to get them to make any form of change. Now, along the corridor, there's emergency exits. And their brain is telling them, get out of that exit, get out of that exit. And these are the smokescreen objections. The more you can overcome, the further you get them down the cycle. And I want you to think back of when you've been handling objections before, those sticky objections, I need to think about it, I want to speak to my partner, all of those types of objections. If you think back to those and how many people you actually close when you get those objections, compared to when you get further down the corridor towards the real objections, the what if it doesn't work for me kind of objections, and how many people you close when you get there, it's fundamentally less. And it's because there's further to travel down that corridor. The closer to the exit, the closer to the desired result they get, the easier it is for them to just step over the line and actually get there. When you're far back, it's easier just to bolt back and go back into safety, into that comfort zone blanket. So let's get stuck into some of the most common objections you're going to face then. So the first one, and the golden one, and probably one of my most frustrating ones, is I need to think about it. Now, the way we handle this and the way we handle any objection, this is your framework. We acknowledge the objection. We don't agree with it. It's really important that we don't agree with them. We say, I hear what you're saying. I completely get you. Whatever it may be, whatever that acknowledgement is, that you acknowledge the objection, make them feel heard. We don't want to butt heads. We don't want an argument, but we also don't want to say, I completely agree with you, because then we justify their objection. And at that stage, they're lost. So we acknowledge the objection. We're essentially saying, I hear what you're saying, but I don't quite agree with you. We don't say that. That's the important thing. We just say, I hear what you're saying. I completely get it. And then we move on to actually handling the objection. Then we go back into another close. So acknowledge the objection, handle the objection, close. That's the 3-step framework. Acknowledge, handle, close. Within that handle, we do need to ask questions preferably, because ideally we want them to handle their own objections. Because the one logic they won't argue with, or the one person's logic they won't argue with, is their own. If you put words into their mouth, or you try to input your ideas onto them, they could potentially disagree with that. But if you can ask them questions to help them come to their own conclusion, or answer the question, whatever it may be, to sort of rubbish what they've just said, they're actually going to agree with that knowledge. You're going to get like next to no friction, which is obviously what we want at this stage in the conversation. So I need to think about it. The number one, the golden goose, the one that you're getting probably every single time. And you'll get some people say to you, if you get somebody say, I need to think about it, you haven't sold them well enough, or you've not done your job properly. And in some cases that can be right. But in a lot of cases, some people are just going to get to this finish line bit and they're going to freak out a little bit because it's a big investment, or it's a big life change, or whatever it may be. And it's scary, right? So they're gonna, that part of their brain is just gonna try and think of something, and the easiest thing for them to do is just say, look, I just need to think about it, because it seems reasonable and it seems rational. But in some cases, you might need to let them go. In some cases, you might need to do a follow-up call. And the difference being, if you do need a follow-up call, we need to handle every single objection, and there needs to be a justifiable, rational reason that they need to go away and actually think about it, or take some sort of action, whether it's moving some money around, seeing if they can actually get the money together, whatever it may be. In some cases, your prospect might have been burnt in the past. So they might need to see something to just show them that this is legit. But again, we're talking about a real objection here, which is like a trust-based objection. In most cases, like 98% of the time, they don't actually need to go away and think about it. It's because what they're actually looking to do is they're looking to try and find a reason not to do it by going away and thinking about it. We want them to actually go away and find a way to do it. So if they are looking for something just to show that you're legitimate and you are what you say you are, or if they're looking to go and move money, they're actually looking to go and move money, see how easy it is to do that. That's what we're looking for them to do, to find a reason to actually take action, not find a reason to not do it. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of your follow-ups don't answer you, don't answer the phone, they never get back to you, they just ghost you, because you've not handled all of the objections and got them into a place where they're actually looking for a way to do this. They're just looking to get you off the phone and looking for a way out. So I need to think about it. We'll go back over it. So the first thing we're going to do is acknowledge it. Look, I completely get what you're saying. And you've probably heard of the saying before that knowledge is power. So what information do you need to have the knowledge to make a decision from power? Something along those lines. It needs to be super sharp. So you need to really learn these. And this is one of the main reasons why a lot of sales reps, they struggle with objections. Because if I asked you the question, what's the capital of England? You're going to say London. What's 3 times 2? You're going to say 6, right? And it's super sharp. If I ask you, how do you handle the objection? I need to think about it. It's like, or if I ask your sales reps, and if you are a business owner or a sales leader to some capacity, ask your sales team, do those 3 questions. Ask them, what's the capital of England, or whatever country you're based in? What's 2 times 3? Watch them answer the questions like that. And then ask them, what would you say if I said I need to think about it? And they won't be as sharp. That's how you know they don't know their objection handles. So make sure that if you're in sales or your team, you've got a team of sales reps, that they are super, super sharp with their objection handles. Because this is the thing that's stopping them from being a top 1%er in sales. This is the thing that's stopping them from costing you more money in commission. This is what we want. We want to pay these guys commission. We want them to make more sales, right? So they absolutely need to be 100% super sharp on these objection handles. So let's move into the next one. Can you send me an email, or can you put it in writing? So the way we're going to handle this, super surprise. And again, we just need to get rid of this. So if you think about the corridor, we're just shutting that door and moving on to the next one, because this isn't going to be the reason why they're like not wanting to move forward with you at the moment. You'll hear some reps say, absolutely, what is it you want to see in an email, or whatever it may be, and they'll go send them an email and they'll never read it. And if it is something they need to see, we need to know what that is. Because if it's, well, I just need to see some like testimonials or something. Again, it's another nonsense like objection. Because if you're a company with 1 million clients and you've only done well with 1 client, you're obviously going to show them that 1 client, not the 999,999 other people that have done terribly with your service. So it doesn't actually mean anything. What they're actually asking after is, what information can you show me to help me decide if this is going to be right for me or not? So it's a knowledge-based or an information-based objection. So we need to find out what that is. So the easiest way to do this, to swat it away, first of all, an email. It's a nice bit of confusion, and it works really, really well. An email, what is it specifically you want to see in an email? And it's almost like you're really confused or surprised that they've even asked you that. And I promise you, they're not going to say, can you put me this in an email? Unless there is a real thing that they need to see, in which case then you'd probably have had to send it anyway. But what they are going to do is they go, well, I'm just unsure about blah, 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 blah. There's your real objection. Well, I just need to have a look at this and this because of this. You're getting closer at least to the real objection if you're not getting the real objection there. So we're just shutting that door, moving on to the next one. Next objection handle, I can't afford it. So we've got 2 here. We've got too much money and I can't afford it. They're different objections. So with the can't afford it bit, most of the time when people say they can't afford to do something, unless your marketing's way off and you're speaking to the wrong people, but again, if you've done some sort of like discovery call and you've had like a decent length conversation and you're now into this I can't afford it objection, you've not done your job properly if they genuinely can't afford it, because you would have had some sort of qualification. Now, the best way to know that this isn't a real objection for the most part, and this is what I want you to think about, because particularly if you're selling anything sort of around that £1,000 mark, £2,000 mark, whatever it may be, Most people you're speaking to them on a brand spanking new iPhone. They found a way to afford that. They're probably driving a car that's probably worth 5 times the amount of what you're actually selling. Again, generalizing a little bit, but in some capacity. This is more to help your mindset when it comes to hearing this objection. But they found a way to pay for those things because at the time, it was a priority. It was important to them. So what they're actually saying is this thing that you're trying to sell isn't a priority for my money right now. In some cases, you will find people that, unfortunately, they're in a position where they can't actually afford it. You should have established that quite quickly in the call. You should have kind of worked that out quite quickly. But even here, we can kind of justify that or find out what that is exactly. So again, I can't afford it. Look, completely get it. And I'll be really honest with you, as people that really want to work with us that aren't in a situation where they've got £1,000, £2,000, £5,000, £10,000 just sitting flush in their account, which is mainly one of the reasons they're looking to work with us. Now, let's just put the money to one side just for 1 second. Based on everything that we've spoken about today and the product, everything that I've told you about the product, are you 1,000% sure that this can help you get towards whatever your goal is or away from whatever pain that they're going through at that point? It's really important that we've done the fact finding, find the gaps really, really well in order for this bit to work. And then we're going to hopefully get a confident yes. If we don't get a confident yes, we challenge it because there's a difference between, well, yeah, and yeah. If we get that not very confident yes, we just challenge it. Well, it's not the most confident yes I've heard today. So I'm sensing some sort of hesitation about the product as opposed to the finances behind it. Am I right in saying that? And then we can go down that route. But we've found the real objection. There's something they're not sure about or there's something they're not quite sold on. But if we do get a resounding yes, look, great. Well, that's amazing. So I agree with you. I really think that we can help you get towards that. Now, I said to you before that not everybody's in that situation, but the one thing that they have got in order to make this work is a determination to make it work, but also a resourcefulness to make it work. So are you open to being resourceful to make this work for you? And obviously we want a yes at that point as well. Now, the next question we're going to ask is, so what are your options? We let them tell us what they can do. Not many people here are going to be wanting to go tell people to go get a loan, go get a credit card, go do this thing, go do that thing. Like just because you're in a situation or potentially you're in a position where you can do those things. Like me personally, I quite happily put things on a credit card. I like the points. I like to have that benefit of getting points, air miles and all that kind of stuff when I do put things on a credit card. So me personally, I'm more than happy to do that because I know I can pay it off and I'm going to pay it off and I'm good with my money. Some people aren't. Some people aren't in a position and it could be quite dangerous for them to do that, which is why you ask them the question, what options do you have? And watch, if you're on a Zoom call or if it's a telephone call, obviously you can't do that, but if you're on a Zoom call, watch their face. They'll go like this. They're looking into their brain for a solution. It happens every single time. And then they'll be like, and you hear them deliberating. Oh, I've got this, I could do that. Maybe I could move that around. And they're actually deliberating what the best thing to do is. But we're getting them thinking about how we can actually make that work. Now, in some cases, they might say, well, actually, I can't afford to do it in just one go. I just can't do it. There's no way that I'll be able to do that because of X, Y, Z reason. Now we can start looking at payment plans if you have that option. Don't just give them the payment plan up front when they say, well, I can't afford it. Well, we can split it in 3 because they can say no to that. If you do offer a payment plan for what you do, don't give it to them straight away because then, again, it's a yes or no answer to it at that point. So when we say that, I'm going to say, well, look, I don't really know what options do I have. Do you offer like a payment plan or something? It's the only thing I could think of that I could do. Well, we can in some cases. We have in the past offered some sort of payment plan. What is it you're thinking? Like what could work for you? And we ask them to come up with the solution, because if you say, yep, we can split it in 3, let's just say you offer a course for £1,000 and we can split it in 3 lots of 333 quid, whatever it is, then they can say, nope, still can't afford that. But if they say, well, I can put down £500 today and I could split the rest over like next month, if that will work. And then you can either do that to what they've just said, or you can find a payment plan that works for them. So if your only options are in 3 or in 1, you can then go back to them and say, well, I can do you one better actually. So why don't we do this then? Let's just split it in 3. It'll make it a little bit more comfortable for you. You said you can put £500 down today, but let's just let's just make it a little bit more comfortable for you. And then over the next 2 months, it'll just be the same payment again. So in a month's time, you pay this, and a month's time, you pay that. They can't say no to that now because they've just said that they can actually afford to do that. So it's not like a yes or no at that point. You fix the problem for them. And that's what we're looking to do. So the next one, let's talk about it's too much money. So that's a difference to I can't afford it to being it's too much money, or your competitors, you're more expensive than your competitors, or something like that. So again, very, very common objection. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to do it. And this is something you need to take into consideration for all of these objections. Not once have they said no. What they're saying is, I can't do it right now, or I can't do it yet because of this, or they're not actually saying outright, I'm not doing it, this isn't going to work for me. So if they say you're more expensive than your competitor, don't take that personally, actually take it as a compliment. And the best person to answer that objection is themselves. So, and again, all of these objections we've acknowledged, we've handled by asking questions, and you want to go back into a close at some point. So once you've got your positive solution, whether it's I need to think about it, and you've handled that, and they've told you what it is, or whatever that next objection is, you rehandle that one, and then you go back into a close. So look, let's do this then. And then you're going to move into a close. You're going to give them some sort of call to action, some sort of direction. Unless you do that, you're just going to try and talk them into submission, and they're never going to do it. People, they need guidance, and they need that nurturing, and they need that little bit of help just to get them over the line, particularly if they're making like a decision that maybe makes them feel a little bit nervous or anxious, or it's a big life change or something. But let's go back to it's too much money. So again, the difference being is too much money is it's either a little bit outside or they've heard another price. And remember, we're selling on value at the moment. So if they say, oh, it's too much money, like, okay, I get it. So you say it's too much money for you, or too much money for what the value that you think you're getting with the product. So we're going to find out what that is, because if it's too expensive for them, we're going to circle back into I can't afford it. If it's just too much money for the value I think I'm getting, I just don't really want to pay that much for it. We can find out why they don't value it as highly as they think they will. Because the chances are the value you're going to get from it's going to far outweigh the cost. Otherwise, you're charging far too much for your service, and it's really unlikely that's the case. So again, let's just go down. If you're a marketing agency, for example, and somebody said that you say that we charge £3,000 a month, and people go, oh, that's just a little bit too much money. But in reality, when you take a look at what they're going to get from it, one of their sales could be £5,000. So that £3,000, you only really need to make one sale to actually make a profit off the back of it. And obviously your ad spend is going to be in there as well. So for one sale, it's probably going to cover the whole thing. So you're going to be net neutral at that point. So in reality, it's not too expensive really, is it? And if you can start turning that into 10, 15, 20, 30, 50K's worth of revenue, it's worth every single penny. But they just don't see that just yet. So your best question to ask at that point, okay, well, look, I get it. And it's not the first time I've heard it. But why do you think specifically that we're expensive? Why do you think we're more expensive than maybe someone else in the market? And let them tell you what's great about your company. They're not going to say to you, because you're money grabbing, you know what. They're not going to do that. They're going to say, well, you might offer this extra level of support, or you probably do this, or you might have this involved and the other ones might not. And then you can say to them, is that stuff important to you? Well, yeah. Do you think that will benefit you towards getting you a result? Yeah. So do you think it's worth maybe paying that little bit of extra money to get the result that you want to get to? Well, of course. Otherwise, it's just a waste of money, right? So again, we're getting them thinking about the value as opposed to the price. And it's really, really important that we do that. Now, the last one of the smoke screen objections, the more common objections, the ones that you're going to find really sticky at the start, is I need to speak to my partner, whether that's a business partner or whether it's a husband or wife, whatever it may be. So this one I absolutely love, because what we're going to do is we're going to ask them a couple of questions, really low guarded, let them sort of tell you what their partner's going to think, and it'll become a little bit more clear as we go into it. But really what we're going to do is unravel their real objection. So the first question you're going to ask, and it doesn't really matter what this question is, there's a couple of variations you can do, but just as an example, you can say, No, completely get it. No worries. Look, we're in the 21st century now, so it's not a case of people like you can just make a decision without asking your partner. I completely get it. Now, is it more of a case just to ask for their permission, or do you just trying to like let them know what you're doing just out of courtesy? Doesn't matter what you say, and it also doesn't matter how they answer it, because your next question is, well, look, let's just say hypothetically they say no. And they say not to go ahead with this. Why do you think that would be? And then they're going to come back with it's just probably because it's a little bit too expensive, or it's just time's a bit tight for us at the moment and it's a big commitment, whatever it may be. But that's coming from deep within them because they haven't spoken to their partner yet. They're not inside their brain. So if they're thinking that they might think it's because it's coming deep within them, and then we can start to handle that real objection there and then on that call. You'll be surprised at how many times you handle that objection there. They buy it there and then. They don't really need to speak to their partner. In some cases they might do, but again, that's completely fine. There's means and ways around that, whether it's a case of getting them on a call, whether you're going to get them started straight away, and then if their partner has a big problem with it, then you can sort it out later. Whatever it may be, you can kind of deal with that. Now, let's get to what's most likely going to be the real objection, particularly for you guys that are selling high-ticket courses, you're selling agency services, or anything of value. This is normally the biggest objection that you're going to come across, and it's the risk-based one. What if it doesn't work for me? That kind of objection. Now, I love this objection because I know if somebody gives me this objection, the chances are they are going to close. It's almost like a buying question in a way, because it means that they're super serious about making this work. We've completely dealt with all of the fluff, the smoke screens and all that kind of stuff. And we're now there in that last moment. They're at the end of that corridor waiting to take that final step. But they're just nervous. They've got butterflies in their stomach and it's a big decision for them. Great. That's exactly where we want people to be. And I want you to understand that is exactly the type of person you're probably going to want to work with. Particularly if you're selling a course or something, because it means they care. It means that this matters to them. And that's really important. You don't want to have people that are just numb to the decision. They're the ones that buy stuff and don't do anything with it. We want results, right? We want to work with people that are actually going to help. So when they are a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, that little bit apprehensive, they've got the butterflies in their belly, great, I love it. And I'll thank them for having them. I'll genuinely be really happy that they've said that to me. So, look, just what if it doesn't work for me? Look, I completely get it. And this is where your tonality drops. Empathy is really important with it. Look, I completely get it. And those butterflies that you're feeling and the nerves, like I've done this for a long time and I've spoken to a lot of people and it's really normal that you've got it. And actually it's really good. I'm really pleased that you've got those butterflies and you are a little bit nervous about how this could potentially work for you, because it means that you care. And it's that's going to drive you forward towards getting results. But look, let's take a look at the risk then. Where you're at the moment, you're 100% guaranteed to keep getting the same results, and you should know where they're at this point. So whatever their situation is, let's not make up some sort of hypothetical situation, but no matter what you're selling, like wherever they're at the moment, it's obviously not working because they're coming on a call with you. They've told you where they want to be, what they're at the moment. You've gone deeper into their pain and all that kind of stuff. You should understand their story, their situation in a very, very high level. So you can say to them, look, if you carry on the way you're going or you don't make any change, you're 100% guaranteed to carry on in what you're currently doing, barring some stroke of luck. So let's take a look at the risk then. You told me that you was 100% sure that, or 1,000% sure that to get towards your goal, this product, and you need to insert your bits and pieces in here. So this is going to help you do that. And you said that to me with certainty. Nothing's changed since you said that 5-10 minutes ago, right? Okay, great. Now, let's just say, for example, we don't get those results and we only get 50% of the way there. And I don't know, let's just imagine that they're looking to get to 10k per month and they only get to 5k per month. But what's more risky? Staying where you are at the moment in what you're doing, or taking some sort of action and at least taking a positive step forward? Well, it's obviously like staying where I am is more risky. So we've handled that, and now we go back into the close, yeah? So with these types of closes, we want some sort of like guidance. I call it a virtual arm around the shoulder. So we want to say to them, look, so why don't we do this then? Let's get you enrolled, and then you're going to give them some sort of direction. But empathy needs to be really solid in there. And it's nice to have some sort of support in that close as well. So look, why don't we do this? And let's get you enrolled into XYZ, whatever the product is. And look, just promise me one thing. If you do get stuck, you do need any extra help, you need any extra support, that you reach out to me and you ask for it. Is that fair? Okay, great. How do you want to proceed then? And then you're going to go into your close. So those are your 6 most common objections, most likely. Put some in the comments. If there's any others you think I've missed that you want me to do a video on, then great, put them in the comments and we can have a look at those. If you want to learn a little bit more about what we do, if you're a sales rep and you're looking for a placement, I'll put a link in the description. But also if you are a company that has a sales team, or you're looking to grow a sales team and you need some support doing that, take a look at the link in the video in the description. Click that link. There's a short video on there and shows how we could possibly help you as well.